Good evening, parents, teachers, students, and administration. We are here to discuss important legislation and how it impacts our media center. Here at Ebenezer Elementary, we abide by the laws that ensure our students the right to a fair and equal education. We would like to talk to you about 3 laws that are in place and how our school media center fulfills the requirements of these 3 laws. The first piece of legislation that affects students in the Media Center is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Originally known as the Education of Handicapped Children Act, but it was changed in 1990. The U.S. Department of Education has an up-to-date website dedicated to helping stakeholders understand the importance of this law. This law protects students with disabilities' rights to a fair and equal education that meets their individual needs. This law also makes sure that parents' rights are protected. IDEA shapes the process a school uses when educating students with disabilities. Schools must follow strict guidelines, adhere to meeting dates, and produce adequate data on each student to be in compliance with this national law. If you suspect your child may need special accommodations, you will want to know how to qualify for these services. IDEA covers 13 disabilities: autism, blindness, deafness, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment including ADHD, specific learning disabilities, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, and visual impairment. Students that have been identified as having one of these 13 disabilities and as a result of their disability require services to be successful in school will be included under IDEA. Before the student can receive services, the parents must provide written consent to have them tested by professionals. If the student is found to have a disability, they will be moved forward in the process of receiving services. After a student has been identified as needing assistance to be successful in a regular education classroom, teachers, parents, and other professionals will work to develop an individualized education plan, or IEP, for the student. This plan will detail the specific accommodations that the student will receive throughout their school day. The plan will be very specific with accommodations and goal setting. Overall, this piece of legislation is very important for many students in public schools today. So, how does this help a student with disabilities in the Media Center? Every teacher that instructs this student will receive a copy of their IEP with detailed accommodations. The media specialist is no exception to this rule. As stated in School Librarians as Ambassadors of Inclusive Information Access, the Media Center must provide a space that is physically accessible, information that is intellectually accessible, specialized instruction that meets the needs of each individual student, and other requirements to help each and every student succeed. The media specialist at the school will stay up to date and educated on the best possible way to accommodate every type of learner in the Media Center, whether that means creating a collection in a variety of formats, changing our lending policies, or customizing our instruction. The second piece of legislation we'd like to talk to you about is the Children's Internet Protection Act.
CIPA stands for the Children's Internet Protection Act. There are 3 requirements that each school or media center must have: an internet safety policy, this is also known as the acceptable use policy, the technology protection measure, and a public notice of meeting or hearing. We will go into these further as we continue this PowerPoint. Thank you. In every student handbook, there is an acceptable use policy that every student and parent is expected to sign as they enter the school. This is normally done at open houses or within the first 2 days of school and is normally in the beginning of the handbook. This is very important that each parent and student sign. If they do not, then they do not have access to any computers throughout the school year. An internet safety policy or an acceptable use policy is written to protect minors, which is any individual who is under the age of 17. What we are addressing is that minors are not to access any inappropriate matter on the internet. They are to be safe and secure when they are using email, chat rooms, or any other form of communication online. They are not allowed to access or hack any unlawful or do any unlawful activity. They are not to disclose their name, their phone number, their address, any other personal information, and they are to restrict students' access from, or other students, from material that is harmful or inappropriate. The Children's Internet Protection Act was written in 2000. In 2001, any school that wanted funding to assist with E-rates and discounts on internet, they had to provide proof of any of the policies. Now, in July 1st of 2012, this federal law included cyberbullying awareness and social networking that has now become very popular. Now, if a school does not comply, they do not show proof that they are doing what they're supposed to, then they will lose their internet funding that they receive from the government. Technology protection measure is a specific technology that blocks or filters the internet access. In doing so, it is protecting our students from anything that is considered harmful to minors. The federal criminal definitions for obscenity and child pornography are set and must be followed at all times. If it is not followed, there are consequences in which students could be taken off the computer, suspended, expelled. Any decision about what is inappropriate for minors must be made by the local community. So all stakeholders are involved in the determination regarding matters inappropriate for students, any minor. So how does all of this affect our students? When we make sure that they understand the acceptable use policy, we are keeping our students safe. We are protecting them from cyberbullying, and we are keeping them more innocent. We are keeping them from anything that can harm them in any way. So whenever a new policy is made, there must be a public hearing or notice or meeting in which the stakeholders get to come and hear the proposal. It is to address the technology protection measure as well as internet safety policy. Once this has been done and put into effect, the following years you must provide proof or documentation that the SIPA has been followed. Every year after that, it must also be documented, and there are many ways that can be done, such as circulation and forms. If there is an amendment, there does not have to be another hearing. Only one is necessary, and that is at the beginning of the policy.
The USA Patriot Act stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. What is the USA Patriot Act? The USA Patriot Act allows investigators to use tools that were already available to investigate terrorism. It enables and encourages government agencies to share information so they can better connect the dots. It updated the law so that it reflects the 21st century technologies, and it increases the consequences for those who commit terrorist acts. What does this mean for the Media Center? A library has always been known as a place where one has intellectual freedom, where one can participate in an open exchanging of ideas, where people have the freedom to inquire and privacy of your own thoughts and ideas. Section 215 of the Patriot Act allows government agencies to monitor Internet use and access library usage and checkout records. What does this mean for the library at Ebenezer Elementary School? According to the Effingham County School System Handbook, staff and students shall be afforded equitable access to these resources to pursue the educational mission of the Effingham County School District. However, using the library and internet is a privilege, not a right. Because students are at school, the Effingham County School District has laid out some rules that students must follow. Rules such as, do not give out personal information, do not access or send obscene materials, do not engage in hacking or other unlawful activities online, do not bypass security measures using a proxy or other means, do not send spam. District email must remain professional. Follow common network etiquette. Follow all copyright laws. And ask permission before downloading software. The Effingham County School District complies with the Patriot Act by monitoring student, library, and internet usage. Effingham County School District has deemed the safety of the students a priority. The ECSD Student and Parent Handbook states, use of the internet, including email, chat rooms, social networking, and other forms of direct electronic communications are not private and for the safety and security of the users will be monitored, making all students and parents aware that compliance with the law is a necessity and a priority.